Condolences to the family of Stephen Rees, my co-host for Rum Shop Talk that takes place at this time every Thursday at 4 o'clock. Today we actually tried to start the show at 3 o'clock. You're looking around and behind, you'll see that there's no Rum Shop Talk logos. We're not having a Rum Shop Talk today. Condolences to Stephen and his family on the passing of Stephen's dad. Today we're dealing with an issue that has its genesis from a video that I did about a week or two ago about the conditions for a home for the elderly in Westmoreland. The genesis of that video goes back almost a year before, when I met with Anthony Salou, who is the head of the Homeless Assistance Office. And he came to me to tell me of a story of a person and what they were experiencing in that particular home. We have Anthony Salou with us today, as well as Fern Davidson, goddaughter of that person, an existing victim of the system. Her name is Gertrude Peters. Also with us is the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Residential Care Association, Ms. Carolyn Rees. And between them, of course, my other co-host for Rum Shop Talk, Stephen Matheson. And between them, and the reason I'm giving you all this information before I invite them all to say their good afternoons, is that the topic is very divisive. And you're going to see it could be contentious. Some of the content and some of the images that we might share could be disturbing to some viewers as they are very graphic. I would like to begin by introducing again my co-host, Stephen Matheson.
Good evening.
Anthony Salou, head of the Homeless Assistance Office.
Good day.
Ms. Carolyn Rees, she's the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Residential Care Association.
Yes, good afternoon.
And of course, Fern Davidson.
Good evening.
We also have other guests in the lobby, and we may get around to them. We may not be able to address all of the issues that need to be addressed in this show, but we will continue to follow this issue up to the point where we would get another response from the state and the Society of St. Vincent de Paul and others that would hopefully clarify some of the information in the public space. But as I started this issue with Mr. Salou, unless Stephen wants to say anything on the opening.
No, I am fully aware of the concerns of the persons here today, and I would have heard what the minister had to say about the situation that arose coming out of your a live you would have done sometime before, and I also heard of the comments made by the persons responsible for the Society of the St. Vincent de Paul. So I really would like to hear from those that are here that are involved in this case, what is the position? What are their positions?
Anthony Salou, you could take us, you could lead us out of with what you have as where this matter started for you.
All right, well, thanks very much, Philip, for giving me the opportunity to present this. And the reason I'm doing it is because I feel that all the channels that I have attempted and I try to go through, I feel as if I'm not getting anywhere. And these are official legal channels. And my concern is that if it is happening, if I am right in what I am seeing and hearing from the particular client involved, I would like, I think there should be some intervention on the human rights issue, because in this particular case, it's a lady who had reached out to me through one of my homeless clients, and she asked if I could get in touch with her, and I did. And then I went to see her at the home, and she said to me she was very happy to see me, but she would like me to know that she's there against her will. And I said, how is that possible? And she said, well, my son said that he was bringing me into the home to recuperate for some injuries or some sores, because she's diabetic. Some sores she had on her feet, and once she recuperates, she'll go back to her home that she owns. And she has been in the home against her will. She has been claiming and telling the home itself that I should not be here. I have all rights to be in my home. By the way, she's 94 years old. She's 93 years old now.
Next month.
Next month, she'll be 93. But this is a lady that is very coherent. And when she reached out to me, I thought, well, let me go and see what I could do for her. And that is what started it. I am now 18 months since I picked up the case in April 2021. And in doing so, I visited the police on 2 separate occasions, given statements. And I'm talking about not just the police, but different police stations lodging complaints, which I was told to do through the ministry, that I should lodge my claims at the police, and there is a division to handle gender violence or something, and that is at the coroner station. I had to go to the coroner station. I gave them a statement. Then I was told to bring in some very valuable video information that they will make an assessment. I went through putting them on in a particular way, and I have been at this thing for weeks and months, and the lady is begging to go back to her own property, to die in her own home. And I said, well, you know, we have to do something about it. So besides the police, I went to the home, and I asked the home, by the way, do you have the authority to keep this lady against her will? And they said, well, her son brought her here, and he's the only one that could sign for her to leave. And I found that a bit concerning, because we're talking here about a lady, even though she's will be 93, she's very coherent, and she says, but she has 2 sores on her legs that need dressing every couple of days. I went to the extent of talking to the Ministry of Health, or to talking to the Ministry of Social Development, who said that they can have an intervention with a health nurse coming to the premises if that need be the case. Her house needed alterations. I gave my commitment that I would assist to do whatever necessary to have the lady back in her home. All this being said, all the channels that I went through, I keep hearing that only the son has the right to get her out. My question is this: was there due diligence done by the home to find out if the son has the authority to keep her there, to commit her? Because as far as she's concerned, she was committed under false pretenses to recuperate.
So now she's incarcerated.
I would use the word incarcerated.
But the reason you have to use the word incarcerated is if a coherent and conscious human being cannot leave a place on their own free will, they are incarcerated.
Yes.
Well, if she was put there to have her womb to recuperate,
yeah,
and she isn't yet recuperated, then
who determines that? Who determines?
She always had these wounds, Stephen. She always had these wounds that needed to be dealt with. The home was dealing with it, but I was told that the Ministry of Health has a service that they can send a nurse every 2 days. They do it all over the country. I was told that. And I was told that by the Ministry of Social Development that you can have that done.
But I see wound care clinics advertising on billboards on the highway. So that's obviously a thing that people of a certain age, I guess.
But I'm taking counsel from what the gentleman said. The gentleman said that she was placed there by her son as being the person, the next of kin, and she was placed there until her, or at least she was told that she will be there until her wound is healed. But I'm hearing also that her wound isn't healed as yet.
But nobody's listening to the lady. That's my point.
She doesn't want to be there. Wounds are not enough to keep her there or to suspend her.
She lived on her own. I was told by the home, the Finbarayan home, I was told by them that she could take care of herself. Okay, that she showers herself, and the only thing that requires is to have those wounds and so dressed on a regular basis. She was there with the wounds at her home 3 years ago. They got bad, and the son took her to the hospital and brought her back.
So are they still bad?
They are wounds, and they need dressing. But she had somebody at her home at the time that was helping her, and she intends to have it. And this was all the point. The point is, the woman says, I can organize my life, and I want to go back in my home and die. That is my property. I work all my life for. And I am concerned that with the system that I am hearing here, that somebody could put their parent in a home, right, and the human rights issue doesn't come up. And I am talking about approaching everybody,
because I want to ask
all the legal channels.
Okay, I wanna bring other people into the conversation before I bring Mrs. Ruiz in. I want to bring Ms. Peters in. What Mr. Saloom said, she is your godmother.
Yes, she is.
And you've been in touch with her?
Yes, I have been. When I found out she was there, I started to go to the home and visit her. And then she was telling me she's afraid of losing her legs because they're not being attended to, the wounds.
So she's committed there for the wounds to be cared for, but the wounds not being cared for?
No, they are not.
So, you see the conundrum? That the wounds being used as a reason for her being there are not being treated there.
No, they are not being treated.
But there's another, the issue is, from what I'm hearing,
David Welch. The
issue from what I'm hearing is that the lady wants to come out.
Yeah, she cries.
Right?
She cries.
She wants to come out, but the home is not letting her out.
No.
The challenge with that is the home may not be able to let her out because the home didn't bring her there. She was brought there by someone who claimed or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know the home, the due diligence was done by the home, but she was brought there to the home by someone in a legal capacity to be able to do that, and therefore that is the person who might have to take out.
Let me bring Mrs. Ruiz in. She's president of the Trinidad and Tobago Presidential Care Association. Caroline Ruiz.
Yes. Well, what you just said is correct. If the relative brought them in, how do the home be responsible to let them out to another individual? That cannot work. It would not work.
Before you say that, I can't let you say that because this is the crux of the matter. She does not have to be handed over one to the other. She is not a bag. She is a coherent human being with rights. Let's agree on that. Let's agree on that. Let's agree on that. Let's agree on that. If she cannot of her own free will leave, we've suspended her human rights, and the question has to be asked: on what grounds?
That's just your opinion.
No, but this is fact. Ms. Ruiz, if I prevent you from leaving here, if I prevent you from leaving here today, I would have taken away your rights and incarcerated you.
Nobody didn't bring me here. I brought myself here.
But that doesn't matter.
I brought myself
But that
here.
doesn't matter. So somebody could have brought you here, and then I could incarcerate you.
No. You want to confuse all the situations.
No,
The thing is, Mr. Alexander, you need to listen to what I'm saying. If somebody come to my home and they are bringing their mother, whether it be mother, father, whoever, and they're bringing it in, I give them the policies and the rules of my home. This is what I ask questions. Most homeowners will go in detail in asking questions because many times the relatives do not tell us the truth. And that still don't stop them from telling the truth anyway. But at the end of the day, we have to ask questions because this is something that happens. This is not the first time I'm hearing of this. Since I am in this for many years, you've been hearing complaints that may never have come to the forefront. And I'm not saying that it is right. Don't say that I'm saying that. That is not what I'm saying. Because I wouldn't like to know somebody take my mother and I can't get my mother. Right? That is not what I'm saying. But if you bring somebody in the home, just like you take them to the general hospital or anywhere else, right? And maybe the system is wrong from the top.
All right, so just now, you're having too many arguments by yourself.
No, I'm not having it.
No, I'm saying, no, you're not bringing any more light. I want to say this to you again.
You cannot just.
Ms. Ruiz, I need to say this. You just agreed with me, and I want to ask you this again.
Can't do that.
It's not about what the home can or cannot do. I want to tell you this. The foundation of all law is the rights of the person. That's it.
My thing is, Mr. Alexander,
just now, I want you just said that you don't want anybody to take your mother and put them in a home and you can't get out.
No,
If your mother is of sound mind, nobody is supposed to discriminate against her because of her age and lock her in a home.
And the only person could clear that up is a doctor. The only person could clear that she's sound mind because she's already there.
So has Miss Peters been tested, her mind?
Very recently, officially, yes.
Where did you take her to have her mind tested? You see, and this is what is ridiculous, that Miss Peters is lucky to have people like Anthony Saloom and her goddaughter willing to fight this battle for her. So now they have to go and prove that her mind is sound.
Yes.
Is her mind sound?
Yes, it is.
And
Dr. Hutchinson.
Dr. Hutchinson has said her mind is sound. So what we're talking about here now is a glitch in the system, and you and I are not on cross purposes. This is where we agree that the system itself is not set up to treat with and respect the rights of these people. We all agree on that.
Yes.
I don't think it's a glitch in the system. I probably think it's probably more like a lag. So, in my opinion,
80 not lag?
Just now, if someone, as Ms.
Ruiz
was saying, if someone brings an elderly person into a home, they came with somebody, right? Yeah. That person was registered as their next of kin. And the home may not be at liberty to release that person to anybody else, because that may have some other legal implications.
What legal implications?
What about due diligence about whether the person came in?
It may have some other legal implications, because
like what?
If you release somebody, if
I
can take my mother to the house.
Not cutting across. If I have a client that wants to go in and out of the home or any home, right? That has to be noted and that has to be signed off. Right? Because if anybody leaves the home and anything happens and there is nothing to state that, then the home is responsible.
And if the client is put in under false pretenses?
And how the home will know that?
How the home will know that?
No,
because questions were raised more than once of whether or not the son has a due authority with a coherent lady. I would like you all to hear the lady.
But
yeah, I know that. We know that. We will hear
the lady.
You have video footage of Miss Peters?
Yes.
Give us some video footage of Miss Peters. I want her to be able to speak for herself.
Let Miss Peters come on and hear what if, and you decide.
I just because I'm not phony.
We're not getting volume.
And this it ain't no big deal.
I'm no audio.
I could handle myself, so the other lady how she don't go from children. So I would be alone at no time. Right? And then my grandson living in the house and driving over there. Tony living on the other side. The only family of
Are we having technical difficulties? or you're hearing her online.
All right. Well, I'm gonna see her, my darling. We'll keep in touch. Okay. All right. Love to see you too. Okay. Tell me. All right. Bye. You.
We get into this conversation here. This is where I, Philip Edward Alexander, got into the conversation. This is my only role in this conversation. Miss Peters, as a human being, has rights over her own person. Do you agree with that, Stephen Mattis?
Yes.
Do you agree with that,
I
Ms.
cannot
Ruiz?
make an agreement because I don't know the person.
So you believe...
I am going by what I'm being
Just
told
now,
here
wait.
today.
No. Let me make my statement again. Mrs. Peters is a human being with rights over her own person, similar to your rights. That you cannot be unduly arrested, incarcerated. You have rights.
Yeah, but someone could have rights over you if you are physically
We've not
or
established
mentally
that. But we've not
Yeah, but
established
that's not the
that.
point.
We've not established that. All we're trying to establish, and this is my concern, is that Miss Peters is supposed to have rights. And even if her son was offering her some kind of care, if she's not happy with that kind of care, she has a right to refuse the care.
If she is
Yeah.
of sound mind.
Dr.
and she-
Hutchinson said that she is of sound mind. They've had her tested. So now our situation is this. And just now, what I picked up on was when Mrs. Ruiz said to the world that this is not the first time you've heard about this. That there are other people.
Yeah, this is
So when you said just now, Stephen, I want to say, when you jumped in just now and you said that it is not a glitch in the system, I want to tell you that that is what it is.
Tell him not to put
That
it up.
Mrs. Ruiz is speaking from the perspective of a caregiver in a situation where the law is vague and she doesn't know if she can surrender somebody to somebody else. While we are making the argument that the person
I
should...
don't know. Yes, I know. I wouldn't do it.
Good. So
Don't
you...
say I don't. I wouldn't do it.
Because-
If Jack bringing Jack will take back out.
But based on what law?
Yeah?
Based on what law?
Because Jack had already made an agreement with the home.
Yeah, but she's not a bag. I established that
Listen to me,
earlier.
And you see, that is why...
A bag has no rights, but she does.
The home have a right to allow.
What?
The home cannot just allow. However, if I realize that the situation is not a situation that I want to get involved in, because there are many situations. I can sit here a whole year and tell you about situations. But at the end of the day, then the home will make the decision. Here what? You brought the client in. I don't like what I'm seeing or hearing. Could you kindly look elsewhere to put this client? Let it be on the relative. All right?
Have you ever seen...
The home cannot make that
Have you ever
decision
seen...
just like
Have
that.
you ever
Just
seen...
give
Ms.
it to
Ruiz,
somebody
I
else.
want to show something.
can't give it to somebody
Satish, I
else.
want this to show on the screen. There is a symbol now in international countries,
I
first
know
world
it.
countries, right?
I know it very
It is
well.
a cry for help.
Yes.
It means I need assistance.
Yes.
I am not under my own power. This person, right? All of that. You know that exists. I'm saying to you, you could be facilitating somebody exercising undue power over somebody else without knowing, and I'm not blaming you. I'm saying,
he's speaking
I
general.
am
This
saying,
is
no, but I'm
about
saying, but the
general.
vacuum of law to guide you, a licensed home, because nobody has given you rules. Nobody has told you.
No, that's not true. We
So
have
Stephen,
guidelines.
I just want to know, do you have a rule book that says if John or Mary brings the person, John or Mary alone could come back, and it cites a law?
No, don't have that.
No, it may not have a
That's
law.
my
It may not have a law, but she might be exposed. Given her, just
I just said that it's not
give up,
legal.
given out.
Just now, listen what she said.
Just
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
her
listen.
out. Just now.
Ms. Ruiz is saying, Ms. Ruiz is saying, in the absence of guidance or law, she is acting as prudently as she could so as not to put herself and her home at risk.
Of
Yes,
course, and the risk is legal jeopardy.
Yes.
Because you might give out that person
Yes.
to somebody, and you might get a lawsuit.
But you're talking about the person like it's a package. That is what Philip is saying. You are.
No,
Yes,
what we
the
saying
The person has a human right.
What we
If we
saying,
establish that it is a human being of sound mind, that she's supposed to be able to say, open that door, I would like to leave. No matter who drop me here, I would like to leave. I, as a human being with rights of sound mind, would like to leave. If she wanted to walk out of Finbar Ryan home into the yard, onto the Martin Main Road, and go for a stroll, that is her right.
yeah, but did she walk in?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
But that
So you're saying to me that you're willing to aid and abet a kidnapping?
No, that's not what we're saying.
If the person who brought her in does not have a legal right, power of attorney over this woman, how does that person get to incarcerate her with you?
Well, you can't have a power of attorney over a person. You get a power of attorney from the person, right?
You understand?
But she doesn't have.
So the thing is,
so what power then could they have?
just now, if somebody brings an elderly person to a home, that elderly person, the home now is now responsible to that elderly person. And the next of kin, the person who brought that elderly person to the home is the person who that home answers to.
Exactly.
My question is due diligence.
Yeah, but
But you see, Anthony, before you even say that,
Due diligence.
where Stephen Matheson is missing the point and is surprising, because he is such a strong proponent of rights, is that you have no problem with that whole arrangement usurping this woman's right to herself.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
But
that.
what you are- that is exactly what you're saying.
I'm saying we have to listen to the whole issue, because there may be other things that, listen, what the home was given, the home has a responsibility.
You know why-
when you take somebody, when you take your parent or something to that home has a responsibility. You expect that home will not put your parent or whatever in danger. You expect that home will
know
not.
that.
So you giving that person out to somebody else
We
because
could not do that.
On the
Yeah,
basis
it
of an
doesn't mean
agreement, on the basis the person
No,
is
listen.
happy to go there.
No, the question
No.
is, you see, that's a family issue in my opinion. That's something that.
Yeah.
No. We're talking about
What
a
it
lady
is-
coherent.
What it
who
is,
wants-
Stephen Matheson, Mrs. Ruiz, this is not a family issue. This is a legal issue. This is the foundation of all law. Your rights. You as a human being.
And-
Until you could cite a document from some source that has the power to suspend her personal rights and liberties, she is the only person that could speak for herself.
Right.
Do
So
you
we-
agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
Whether or not a taxi or her son or a passerby drop her in the house.
I agree with that. But you see,
Wait, 1 minute. Mr. Alexander, this woman, is she walking?
No.
She's on a wheelchair, right?
But let's not get there now.
No,
let's not. The lady can take care of herself.
Let her make her point.
You-
Let her make her
You
point.
All right.
can't have yourself.
Let her make
don't
a-
have-
Go ahead,
Let's
make your
make a
point.
The point is, you cannot say, she cannot say to the homeowner, I want to leave, and she's all in her mind, and roll out with a wheelchair, and the homeowner sit down and say, she's free to leave because she wants to leave.
Well,
That's
you're talking
You see,
hypothetical
Miss
silliness.
Ruiz, Miss Ruiz, there's a
Silliness.
gentleman.
I don't feel it's silly.
No, but there's a gentleman.
You have to respect the homeowners.
I am not talking about the homeowners.
just
I'm-
wait. There's a gentleman I know by the name of Rolling Thunder. He'll be on this show next week to refute what you just said. Rolling Thunder, you might know him. He is a heavy-set guy that sits in a wheelchair, and you might see him from time to time outside supermarkets like Massey and True Value selling the barbecue tickets that our disabled community have to sell to survive. But Mr. Rolling Thunder also has a job and a home and a life. And the fact that he is in a wheelchair shouldn't take away his
And it
rights.
shouldn't.
But
It
you
shouldn't.
just,
That is
but
a
you-
90.
But you just put the lady in a wheelchair.
No,
Roland,
listen,
whatever.
Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder, the difference between him, he's younger than a 94-year-old
So-
woman.
so-
He's
so
I am
we're not-
sorry,
we're not
you have
just-
no right to judge that.
So we're not
So-
discriminating
Just
the
let the
wheelchair.
person
We're not discriminating
go.
the wheelchair. We're discriminating
In
the
the age, now the
I'm not
age.
discriminating anything. I want you all to understand.
Oh,
Listen to me, see the gentleman. I want you all to understand at the end of the day, I am fighting for the rights of the homes and the homeowners.
And I understand.
and not the,
I
And I'm
respect
making
that.
it very clear.
And
Not the
very clear.
client.
And
Right.
this is, and I want
No,
to say,
no, listen to
yes, sir,
me.
yes, sir. I want to say
And
to
in
those
doing
watching
that-
that Ms. Ruiz, as the head of the Trinidad and Tobago Residential Care Association, came here on her own volition. She has volunteered information to assist in what we're doing. And while it sounds like we are at serious cross purposes on this issue,
These are
at the,
very
end,
touchy.
at the end of the day, as I said at the start, that this issue is going to be contentious. But as I said at the start, it's very thorny. And at some point, Stephen Matheson and I are going to have to cross swords over the fact that, again, the government has failed to put light to this matter. When the minister ran in the parliament 12 hours after my video to say I didn't have my facts, I want to know which facts she had. Who gave her information overnight that the home that I was speaking about is so good? Because I have a lot of information from workers and people in the home, and I'm not going at that home. And I want you to hear me clear, Ms. Ruiz. I think that the work that you all do is on the side of the angels. I know we just buried my father 2 weeks ago. I know when they get to that age, how much care and attention they need, how much of a danger they could be to themselves. But it cannot, at no point, take away their own rights. And that is the only concern to me.
And that is how it become a family.
But listen, let me just say this, right?
Because it's the family taking away their rights.
Allow
not
me,
you.
allow me, allow me. This, in my opinion, is an easy solution for this. The thing is, the lady was brought into the home by a relative, and that relative was, I am sure, was recorded as the next of kin, the person, the contact person, the person who brought her in, right?
Yeah.
Legally, that's the person who the home will answer to. Now, I understand that there are other issues, right? So the ladies of Song Mind,
yeah.
and I understand she wrote a letter giving, explaining her situation and that she wants to come out.
Yes.
And I understand also that her another relative got a power of attorney from her
Yeah.
to be able to do so. Now, in my opinion, that's a family thing that could be dealt with, and the lady could be removed very easily. But to say that is two different things we're talking about here. To say that the home could just release the lady just so.
You see, I didn't interrupt you just
Right.
now when you used the term legally, because I'm waiting to ask you, if you say something legally, you have to quote a law.
No, well, if
You have to quote a law.
If-
You have to say that there is a law, this act, this chapter that says if your son brings you to an old age home, that's what it's
Mr.
called.
Alexander,
Philip,
I
yeah,
want to
Philip,
take
yeah,
that
Philip,
question
Philip.
directly to the ministry.
That's my point.
Okay.
Ms. Ruiz, you and I just know, but you and I just found the place where you and I absolutely agree
Right.
that the minister,
It needs to go
the
to
government,
Parliament,
the attorney
go to
general,
Parliament, go to
there is
Parliament and
obviously
come out alone.
there is obviously a vacuum.
Because we'll sit here a whole day.
No, but you know, if we identify the problem, then we would have accomplished something. And if the problem that we are identifying is a vacuum where the legislation should be governing that, we would accomplish something. I am very concerned about a country where it is so easy for people to lose their rights. That is a slippery slope. We start with ageism, and then we go down the line, and it is very easy to end up with things like apartheid and slavery. They are justifications, and I want to remind everybody watching, apartheid was legal. Slavery was legal. There were laws that governed them. So we could go down that slippery slope that ended up with the Jews in the ovens. There were laws in Germany for that. I'm not trying to be sensationalist. Human rights must be our number one guiding light, or we lost.
And in the same way, somebody could look at it from the other side and say that if a relative bring you into into a home, then that relative is the person who the home will respond to. And what we're saying is not that, or my position is not that the lady should not, she lost her rights because she came into a home. I'm not saying that. Right? If she's of legal and sound mind and that kind of thing, and not physically incapacitated and not mentally incapacitated, and mentally especially, then I think that she should have the right to say what she wants and
I believe.
But also, you have to understand from the position of the home.
And you know what I agree with
you? The home has a responsibility to. The home can't just give any willy-nilly, any Tom, Dick, or Harry.
So you know who have the authority to get to the bottom of where this thing is? A court of law. You with power of attorney should sue that home for wrongful imprisonment.
But why the home, Philip Alexander?
Because
no. Why the home?
I will answer you.
Answer me.
Because right now, and unfortunately for the home, right now, because of the lack of legislation, she'd have to sue for money, you know. She could sue for $1. But she could sue to make a point that the judge in the matter will force the state to write a law. Just now, we all admit that right now there is an absence of information, no clarity to guide us. We all trying to do our best. You trying to do your best to protect the position of the homes. She's trying to do her best to protect her godmother. My concern is human rights. I am saying, take it before a dispassionate third party and let them look at the situation and identify if what is being done to this woman is wrong.
And where are you taking it?
I don't understand the question.
You're saying all of this, right? But I know Philip could fix it. That's the Logan. Philip could fix it. So where are you taking it?
Well, let me just interject here. Let me interject here. The point about coming here is the point of due diligence, because that is all I was asking for. If anybody did what I consider a reasonable and genuine investigation into this lady, they will come to the same conclusion that I have come to, that she is capable of handling her own self in her home where she wants to die at the age, and she wants to see her friends again. My problem with the entire situation is if me as Anthony Saloom, with a lot of contacts all over the place, have to go through this for one little old lady, and I am talking about all the right channels that I have been pushed towards, take it to the police. This is what the ministry told me. Take it to the police. Try and get a power of attorney. I went to human rights lawyers. Get a power of attorney. The home blocked me at a point where I could not go in and see her anymore, because they know I was getting involved because I filmed her, right? When I was talking to her to show her Coco.
She did actually get any power of attorney?
No, I never got the power of attorney. I couldn't go. I couldn't just go and do it. It had to be family or godchild or whatever it is, and it with her and this angel.
So she got the power of attorney.
The power of attorney is now in hand.
Process.
No, but no, I am not talking about this lady only. I am talking about the state we are in. We are talking about due diligence on a little old lady that was not done. As far as I'm concerned, the home didn't do it. I go to police after police station. I go to the senior superintendents. I give statements. I show all the facts, right? And then the ministry is also responsible for taking up the issue. What, I missed something? Am I missing something here?
Miss Peters
That is my
And what
rights.
is the ministry
Ms. Peters has rights.
The ministry,
Yeah.
they feel that she is in the best care at the home. They decided, as far as they're concerned, she is the best, she will receive best care there.
They did an investigation.
I don't know. Their investigation is with the son.
Did they interview Ms. Peters? Did they interview Ms. Peters?
The health? No, I went to the Ministry of Social Development and
Well,
Family
to begin
Services.
with, people need to understand that we are under the Ministry of Health, right? The Ministry of Health, the vision of aging through the Ministry of Social Development is there as a line for abuse,
Yes.
right? So these are the people you call.
Why
Now,
would it
if-
be two different ministries?
No, it's
Why
one.
would it be two different ministries? Why would you be under the Ministry of
We are
Health?
not under the Ministry of Social
No,
Development.
why would you be under the Ministry of Health and for issues of abuse have to go to social development?
That is how it is. I'm just telling you what the system
All right, but
is.
again,
And I
we're
did.
only
I
exposing-
went to them.
But
And what we're exposing
however-
here, it's not enough to say that's how it is.
Just now, but that is how I'm
I'm
giving
saying to you,
how it,
but I'm saying to you, all of these are problems.
that you will fix.
Well,
No,
that's the
but
purpose of this conversation.
All right.
the point about it is, I am concerned for the future of the old people. If somebody is coherent,
And nobody can be more concerned than homeowners for the people. The ministry, you're now touching my nerves, right? The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, some years ago in Parliament, stated that their heart hurts when they see them, right? Well, the homeowners and plenty of the caregivers don't know what is a night's sleep, right? Because our heart pains when things are happening with our elderly and we can't do more than we could, right? So when it comes to care, nobody don't know care like a homeowner. Nobody. And no, I will not sit here and nobody telling me about care for the elderly and it's not your relative.
Just a minute, I want to say
will
something.
listen to
Miss
that,
Rees,
because that is not so.
Miss Rees,
And right after that, something happened.
Miss Rees, I live in a country where people have murdered aging relatives for their properties.
And that is true.
And would use this system to commit people so that they could take control of valuable property. So again, it comes down to, and all of these issues have to be exposed in the public space and be ventilated. Somebody with authority to write a law needs to get involved. When you just said that you are not under the Social Development Ministry,
We are not.
why did the Social Development Minister address this issue in the Parliament during a budget? A
Because
budget contribution.
they have clients, from what I heard, they have clients at the home. 2 clients or something like that. Once social development have CCP clients at the home, they have entitlement to come and visit their clients. That is their rights because they brought the clients in.
So she's defending the
But
home.
if the home is being inspected, the home has to be inspected by the Ministry of Health.
Which is-
We are under them.
I have to ask you a very,
So that is why-
I have to ask you a very serious question. Would you say that these ministries, these 2 ministries, are doing a good enough job policing and managing this issue of aging and homes for the elderly?
I will answer and say that Ministry of Health is trying their best since we came into the picture with them. I would say that there's a disconnect between Ministry of Health and Ministry of Social Development, right? But I would say Ministry of Social Development, I think, just like I'm trying to explain here, not getting the opportunity to, there's so much, the picture of homes and elderly and mental care and care for overall, because we can't just care for the elderly, we have to care for the people who helping the elderly, right? It's a very big picture. And the Ministry of Social Development need to have its stakeholders, because if you are not in the system over the years, you will not know. You feel you know, but you don't know because it's a lot. I can only get in 1 or 2 things, but in running a home and managing the elderly and the staffing and the relatives that we deal with, it is a lot.
Okay, but could I ask you if you are aware that there are allegations of corruption in the licensing of homes that don't exist and funding of homes that exist only in name on paper, that through these ministries, taxpayers' funds are spent on what is referred to as ghost homes, some of them connected to people in positions of authority in these ministries. Have you heard of anything like that?
I have heard, and I would like to say that, let me put it right. I've heard about it, I've seen it aired, and we have ourselves in the association, there are a lot that we know that we will not venture to say at the moment, but I really think this is a situation not from today. This is a situation, especially with Ministry of Social Development, that is existing from way before, from years before. Every minister that goes in there, they don't give a hearing because it stemmed from the PS come down, right? That there are situations that is taking place, and whatever is being told to the ministers, they will not even give us a hearing. They will not even take a call from us, right? So whatever homes go through, we have no, as much as they want to say, I believe that they may have a name, but they do not have the say. There may be people there that want to change the system, but may not be able to.
But you're skirting the question a little.
But I am saying to you, if given the opportunity to get with that Minister Donna Cox, right? Because she does not know, and I'm saying it plain. She does not know. Whatever is being fed is what she goes with. But you need to know, dealing with the elderly is not something that you could just say, well, I deal with them home. Remember, home carries how many elderly at the same time, different situations, different illness, right? So it is difficult for you to just say you know. You have to get stakeholders in,
but
you have to meet, and then we have to come to something.
Okay, but is there any...
And they have not been proclaimed, and their act has not been proclaimed, so it's not law.
Is there any oversight that checks on the homes?
Yes, Ministry of Health checks on the homes. They do inspections.
So they have a list?
Yes.
They have a list of the homes?
Yes, they do.
But they do that regular?
Huh?
They do that regular?
They do it once or twice, so if they get a report, they will come and check the home.
Because I know of
Ministry of
homes
Social Development, if they get a story of abuse, they're supposed to now contact Ministry of Health, and they're supposed to come together and do an inspection.
I know of a particular story that
Health
went on for like years, and the problem wasn't solved until relative came down and take their parent out of the home.
Ms. Ruiz, what he's saying is something that I'm getting a lot of, that people, and I do not want to, and I want to go on record again as saying that the good and decent caregivers and the proper homes are on the side of the angels. I am not against the work that you do. I think that you do essential work for society. I am saying that in the absence of rules and systems to protect the elderly, abuse and neglect could take place.
Of course, there are homes.
Somebody messaged me who works in Finbar Ryan home and said to me, the day after your video went viral, the hallways in here started to smell of Lysol and bleach, and that people were working very hard to prepare themselves in case there was a surprise inspection to make sure that they could pass it. And I'm sure that happened in a lot of homes too, that since we raised this issue that has been
many homes are very clean.
Under the rug, this issue, we the people of Trinidad and Tobago have to take responsibility for abandoning these people. When we found out through the Robert Sabga report, and then the Judith Jones report, that a lot of young people, wards of the state, were being abused by senior people of state, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, were responsible for not calling for oversight. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have let that issue go. It's gone. It's not like people were brought to justice. It's not like changes were made. It's not like laws were written.
I'm sitting here with Mr. Alexander and I'm listening to everything you say. My brain is working. Because what I'm not understanding, they have a claim. I'm here to state what we stand for, the homes, right? The person that should have been here should have been the people from St. Vincent de Paul, the director of St. Vincent, or the president, or whoever it is, should have been here. Now, I listened to Philip, Mr. Philip, and I think he does not
Clarify that the Mr. Philip you're talking about is the new head,
Philip.
the new head
is the new head
of the St. Vincent de
So I
Paul.
honestly believe that he did not know much because he is not there for a long period.
And
was
if you
just
could
saying
stick
what
up-
was politically
if you could-
correct.
No, but if you could
He was there for 2 weeks.
He was just
He's
saying
there
what
for 2 weeks,
what-
Miss Rees.
Yes, he
And in
could.
response to my video
Yes.
that should have prompted investigation, what we got was damage control, circling of the wagons, Donna Cox running to Parliament, Mr. Philip running to the media running with a story, and nobody has as yet conducted any investigations to see if any of it might be true.
And I am an official
But
complainant.
didn't Ministry of Social Development release that they did?
No, they did not.
Who released that they did?
Within 24 hours, Mr. Philip was on media. Within 24 hours, the media was carrying a story, but there was no investigation.
Right.
So how do we as people justify having actual living complainants here that have issues that have been going on for 2 years, that are trying to get resolution? And how do we justify that and let it go without having some sort
I
of
would suggest
investigation?
Mr.
Saloon.
Saloon, that he should get in touch with Ministry of Health and let him lodge a investigation into the home so that you could get some, because when they do it, they go with a full team.
But I want to say that the
it's
issue
a
with,
full team.
I want to say
and
the
they
issue,
will be able to speak and have a communication with the clients.
the issue with Fern, to me, is nearing its end. Because I'm hearing that you did manage to get
Power of attorney.
power of attorney.
Yes, I do.
And in situations like that, given what has happened so far and the fact that the lady is of sound mind,
Yes.
then you shouldn't have a problem from going forward to moving up.
You know why she's here? She's here so that others, because what he said,
Exactly.
if Miss Peters didn't have an Anthony Saloon, she would live out her days and die in that home, and nobody would know that she's shaking the bars, begging to be let free.
And so you would have published a statement saying that persons are incarcerated.
If you
Exactly.
if you have,
I wonder how correct that was.
if you
I am
have
saying-
if you
I am
have
saying
sound
she
mind-
is.
If you have sound mind, and I'll give it to you now. Sorry, Anthony, but if you have sound mind,
And
cannot
if she
walk out
would
of
not
that
have
place.
been allowed
only-
by you. If she was, she would not have been allowed by you to take the client to the center, and you said
That's a different-
I'm only allowed to carry her to the health center. I'm not allowed for her to spend the day with me, and I'm allowed to
She's
talk to her
incarcerated.
behind a bar. That's how I visit
incarcerated.
her. I'm in the corridor and she's behind
well,
bars.
because no wait, let me clear up that Ministry of Health, Mr. Diyal Singh had told us that we weren't going to open the homes as yet because of the COVID situation, because a lot of the elderly died at homes, and you would have known that because you would have read the news. So what the homes have decided, because it is unjust, just like you are saying, it is unjust and unfair that I have my loved one in the home and I can't even see them. I am only video calling them because that's what
That's a
homes
different
allow.
issue.
Or
Just now, let her
That's
finish
right.
her point. Let her finish her point.
Yeah.
I am only video calling them or a call on a phone. So what we decided, we will go by appointments, right? And we will allot everybody 15 to 20 minutes to come. But then again, it all depends on how your home is set up. For instance, I do not know the home that you go, so I cannot say for there. But my home has an inner porch and an outside porch. But there is a gate,
I
there's
want to ask
a
you a
fence.
question. I want to ask you a question. So you said that the Ministry of Health unilaterally made a decision to save lives. But if the person who was in the home wanted to leave, they didn't agree with that decision. If they wanted to leave and if their family
I don't
wanted
know
to take them, could they have taken them? Could they have taken them?
If from the home during COVID,
Yeah.
if the family come and tell us they want to take the one that bring them in, yes, that is their right.
Even with the rule of the bar and the 15 minutes and all of that?
Yes, if you want, they can come back in, because if they come back in, we'll have to quarantine them.
Right. So, right now, you are saying that the person who surrenders a human being to a home becomes the authority for the release of that person.
And that is why the home don't only take one person. The home asks for 2 or 3 persons, so that if anything should happen to the first in line, the one that bring them, we have, anytime it become one person, we then say, because of situations, we now say, well, no, we wouldn't be able to take the client based on the fact that there is nobody else if anything should go wrong.
Who does the National Hospital?
Used to get blamed, the homes used to get blamed for taking the people because they want the house, and they want the land, and they want the money,
Right.
and they want everything, right?
Right.
Well, we changed that with homeowners, so now even to receive the pension could come to the home, but the elderly will sign or thumbprint, and the family will go and do the change and come and pay me my money. I don't want to know nothing about no pension. I want to know that when the man come, you bring my money, whatever with the pension, because that was another issue years ago, that the homes was taking all the pensions. So this is why I'm telling you, this situation will go from now till I don't know when, but we need to fix it, right? And if my voice could fix it, I'm grateful. And I'm going to fight, because I will fight for the elderly. And this heart, whole love for all the elderly and all the staff, because you can't love just the elderly and don't love your staff. You have to love all. Despite that we may have good staff or bad staff, because you don't get all good, to be honest. So I am claiming I have all good. But you know what? At the end of the day, we have protocols that our relative has to follow, and once they follow that, that's all is the concern for us as homeowners.
Mr. Reyes, you have struck me as somebody who cares. So you don't have to defend yourself. I believe that you are somebody who cares about people. You gave up your time repeatedly since this issue was brought into the space to contact me, to reach out to me, to get me to understand your side of the story. You're here today to strongly defend your side of the story. You don't have to defend yourself. I honestly believe that you are somebody that cares. You were going to ask a question before I make my point.
No, I was just going to ask if you are released to the hospital, the general hospital or the government hospital, and for some illness, you take someone, it doesn't have to be an elderly, anybody. Doesn't the hospital ask you
Next again.
next of kin who will take care of you if something happens? Who do they call and that kind of thing?
Well,
Who to contact?
they don't speak to anybody but next to kin. And if a home,
Yeah, when you walk in the hospital alone, by yourself,
They still ask you
they
that,
still
by the
ask you
way.
who's your next of kin.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like you belong to that
but
person.
hear this, if the home send you to the hospital, because we use the hospital system.
The home is the
So
next of kin.
the policy is, no, the home is not next to kin. The policies with the home is that we use the hospital system, and we have doctors on call, and we have the RN. But if it is a common call, or we see something that a doctor could deal with instead of going through the system, because the system is not an easy system, we all know that. So we use the doctor. But if we have to go through the system with the ambulance, come for the elderly, we send all their medication, we send a list of everything that is happening with them, we send their clothing, and because they changed it up for COVID, long time nurse would accompany them to the hospital. Now we cannot do that, right? So what we do is call the relative and say, here, this is the situation, the client is going to the hospital. The relative will now have to meet the client at the hospital, because they would not give the home the information there. Now if the doctor, whoever is trying to get the relative and they can't get the relative, they will call back the home to ask questions, right? But next to kin still lies with the person.
Okay, but I want to ask you a question, and this is an important question. Based on your knowledge, on your experience, if you had to say these are the important things that need addressing for the entire industry of care for the elderly, would you agree that clear legislation is needed
Yes.
that governs how homes could be operated, inspections of the homes, care standards,
The intake of the client.
intake of the client, what the rights of the client and that sort of stuff? Do you agree that
And we have everything.
so there is an
That
absence
is-
and
that
you have
put together.
done work
We have done the
preparing
work.
and
But we
preparing
have
that
nobody
legislation.
that was willing to accept the work that we are
So
doing.
even though Stephen Matheson is going to try and distract from this statement again, I'm going to say that the failure here lies with the government and you all who ended up at cross purposes today may not necessarily be on opposite sides of the care for the person. It is just there is an absence of ways and means for you to give them what they want. And that needs to be clarified. And instead of the minister or one of the two ministers with responsibility here running to the parliament to lie, because she couldn't know. My video was done in the night. The next day she was in the parliament. Mr. Nigel Phillip contacted me. He is a brand new member of the St. Vincent de Paul at the leadership level.
And that is why I told you you should have called.
We will get to that, but I'm saying that he too, instead of trying to give some light to this, clear it up a little bit, some clarity, he just doing damage control. I have the Catholic News commenting on this video right now. The Catholic News. We are not fighting the
What the
church.
Catholic News is saying.
All good stuff about caregivers. But what I'm saying is we are not fighting the church. We are not fighting the homes. We are not even fighting the society for the St. Vincent de Paul, even though I have people in the waiting room who would like to come in here and ask. There's a lady outside there who worked in Riverside Plaza for 21 years. And when the local government, when the Ministry of Social Development turfed them out of Riverside Plaza, she was fired. And she wasn't given $1 for her 21 years of service. And all of these things Mr. Nigel Phillip needs to address, and I know that he is only 2 weeks in the job. But instead of damage control, all of us could have been working on the same side, trying to work with the documentation and the ideas and the policies that you all, with your experience, have put together. We could have been working. His experience has not been fun.
Mr.
Anthony
how
Salou is not somebody with time to waste.
does
If
the
he
St.
pick up
Vincent de
this,
Paul make their money? Do they get like subvention?
I can't answer
we have to
that.
answer.
They
You
get
have to ask them
subvention.
that.
Yeah.
You have to ask them that. But what I'm saying is, Mr. Anthony Salou is not somebody with time to waste to go tilting windmills and chasing a ludicrous situation.
Philip,
When he
Mr.
encountered
Alexander.
a lady who said to him, a stranger to him, that I am being held against my will, it triggered his natural response to want to help.
I would have done the same thing he did.
You know, there's a saying, it is better to free 99 guilty men than to hang one innocent man.
Indeed.
Well, if this lady, if I am right in what I am saying, in everything that I put forth, to the different respective agencies with all my contacts, and I can't get something done, that is the story. The story is not about her alone. She is the nucleus of this particular situation, right? But imagine, I am keep asking, due diligence, was that done in its proper manner? Because you're talking about a human being. And I use the word incarcerated because she says I am held there against my will. And we, everything was put to the various agencies saying we are prepared to facilitate this lady going back into her home, doing whatever needs to be done to her house if necessary. Get help, get the bandages done on a regular basis, everything. Why not one call in 18 months have I received from any of the agencies?
And that's why.
Who pays for the
Just so-
Because
that's why
they probably was waiting.
No, I just want to say
But
that.
I would-
legal aspect of
No, but that is
of
why
that
in my
together.
video I said
Probably, I don't know.
she is trapped in a dark hole. And when I said that, I meant a dark hole where there is
But Mr.
no...
Alexander, I feel all of us trapped in a dark hole, really and truly.
That is...
So it's not just the lady.
That's for true, but that's for true.
This is-
But this lady, the dark hole she's trapped in, is a man with the connections and power of an Anthony Saloon fighting for her. Can't get the system to open a door for her.
But we fighting for all the homes and we can't get the
Oh,
homes
that's a
up to
different-
now.
that's
No,
the
but
same thing.
You're right.
Same thing.
No, but you're right.
You on a
You're right.
bigger scale.
You trapped in the same hole.
This is still all of the
But the
homes.
ministry and the head of Society of St. Vincent de Paul chose to personalize this.
Why are you saying St. Vincent de Paul? I want to know why. Because they give Bush tea and a half
Why? No, not that.
No,
Why is Mr. Philip?
responsible?
Why is Mr. Philip trying to defend? All I'm asking him, he's 2 weeks into the thing. You said
Yes.
you cannot know without an investigation. If
But the woman gets 3
and I
years, you
said,
get 2 years,
and I,
then we
that,
need
that,
to
but
do
that's
some
but that's not the point.
research and
That's not the point. You see how long I waited?
Right.
See how long I waited? I let the media talk, I let the minister talk, I let him talk. But I've been speaking to all of you. And this show, we were going to do this next week, Thursday. Satish said because we're having a big event next week, Saturday, the 29th of October in Bamboo #1, and the whole country is invited. But because we're having that event, Satish said, look, we can't let this stay. Let us deal with it so that something could come out of it. So that is the intention of us rushing the show today, Stephen. Stephen came here early today to facilitate and make it happen. The idea here is this. The things that are making life difficult for the caregivers, that cannot be swept under the rug anymore. No. People not having rights to come and go as they please, that has to be addressed, and we need legislation to guide it. But the minister can't duck it. And Mr. Nigel Philip, in his 2 weeks as tenure as head of Society of St. Vincent de Paul, also cannot try to sweep it under the rug. I, Philip Edward Alexander, will not accept that. This came into the public space now. Let us address it. Let us have it dealt with professionally. There's a parliament, there's a legislature, there's an attorney general and a ministry of legal affairs. Address this. You should be a complainant here also. And I assume...
I am.
Good.
What I am saying is, see, the picture, and this is, I'm not off their situation, because we understand when we cannot give to our elderly. Also, for 2 years we were on lockdown. For 2 years. The first call, I was helping other homes. The call came when COVID was in my home. Didn't even know that, right? There was nobody to come and say what is happening with the home. We thought, well, everybody went on there, because that's how it was played off at the beginning. So at the end of the day, we are doing our best, right? We were under financial strain. We're still under financial strain. So if the gentleman said he have issues dealing with, all the homes in Trinidad and Tobago have issues dealing with. There are homes that do not have the finances, or because relatives have not paid, that families just take their loved ones because they can't make to pay, right? Who paying us from 30, 20,000 outstanding, paying us a $500 or $1,000, right? How do you run a home? How do you make it operational? How do you mind the people and give them the best care ever when not even the government will come in and help?
But you know, persons are, the concern must be to the public that, you know, people pay taxes in this country.
Yes, but none are coming to the elderly.
And there are monies, I am sure, that are appropriated to these homes, or that are said to be appropriated to these homes to be able to do those, take care of those things. So when you hear this, that must be a concern too. That must be a concern to the
You know how hard
public.
it is to run a home? You know how difficult, you know how much money is spent to upkeep a home? And listen to me, that 2 years of lockdown, plenty homes had to close, and it is good people with good hearts taking care of people that had to close their homes, right? And the ministry, they gave everybody got. Nobody gave to the home or to the association that handling the homes, right? As I sit here today, God is my witness, many people can't pay salaries, many people can't pay their landlords. So when it look like it all chummy and good, it's not. So if I have disinfectant, I'm using vinegar. put a little squeezing in the water, we gone back to slavery days.
No, then is that what the same
Right?
price? Is that what the same price for both
So
of
when
them?
I'm sitting down to listen, people don't know, they don't know. And
But,
it doesn't mean the homeowners
Ms.
don't
Reyes,
care.
and I want to give you a little bit of advice here, that the circumstances doesn't take away our responsibilities. Unfortunately,
doesn't.
Unfortunately,
It doesn't.
we have a responsibility to give the highest of care across the board, right? I have joining us also today, ma'am. Could you give us your name? Could you speak it into the microphone here for me, please? And Satish, you let me know if you're getting enough audio from her.
My name is Velma Silly Roach.
Satish, her audio good? Miss Roach, you were a former employee of the, you could pull your chair forward if you want, so you get closer. You were a former employee of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, yes?
Yes, at Riverside Car Park.
You pull that mic forward, yeah. Riverside Car Park, yeah? How long were you employed there?
21 years. I was employed, and this is the worst that I'm going through with the society, because there's closing at the building. Well, it was really a shocker because you're dealing with certain staff, management, whoever, they're not letting you know nothing. When I come to work the evening, I saw posters stick up on walls that the building going to close the 30th of August. Next thing, the building closed the 1st of September. They give us a letter, and the letter is to have the date the 5th. The building did not close on the 5th. The building closed on the 1st. I work the night, I come off the morning. Right? When they come, they send us home, they hustling, they say a certain time that the residents and everybody had to leave. The police from Besson Street, they came. I had to be up and down the building with them. No kind of remorse, because they closed down. But they leave, you ain't get a salary. The servants.
Sorry, what was your name again?
Velma Silly Roach.
Just wait 1 second. They're gonna put a mic on you so that we could get your story clearer. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but Stephen Matterson, you're hearing.
Well, I'm hearing what she is saying, and that is if her employer was the St. Vincent, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and she worked for a number of years, and she has now become, it sounds to me like she is now redundant, then there's a procedure for that.
They owe her.
Well, of course, you have the issues of the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act, and how issues or situations like that are treated with. So it is not a question. It is not just bye bye. You've been with us for a while and they're closing down, and it's not just bye bye. You have to be paid for the years that you've been working with, and there's a matrix on how you are paid according to the Act, the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act. And there are also issues with respect to notice period and all that kind of thing. So I'd really like to hear what the issue was, and if it is you were terminated or if it is you were retrenched. And so then we could probably, that's our next issue that could be dealt with in ways differently. And how long would that have happened?
But I want you to tell her so that she knows, Miss Roach. Is Roach, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, the mask muffler.
Let me take it off?
No, you could if you want. It's up to you. But I want you to know that besides being one of our sidekicks, Stephen Matterson is a renowned human resource HR consultant, and he's offering, I assume, to hear your story and to see
we're hearing what she's
what
saying.
kind of guidance that you could
We're hearing what
assistance.
she's saying on air. So how much years? How long were you working at?
21 years.
21 years. That's a lot of years.
Service is not 21
And you were a worker. Right, so that's a lot of years. So,
Yeah.
and how long now this happened?
The 1st of September, they closed down the building.
1st of September this year?
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
They're going to get a letter from you, from us. We will assist.
No. She has to go to a trade union, and the trade union will deal with that.
Are you a member of a trade union?
Just join.
Right, she just joined a trade
joined a trade
union, union, right?
And
So,
they could represent
Yes.
us, even though she's not been a member. But
yes.
So her 21 years safe.
Yes, she could. She. There's a procedure.
What did the Society of St. Vincent de Paul tell you?
Well, every time that I go in the office to find out what it is they're going to me, because remember, I leave with my 2 hands open like this. It come like I had less chicken. I don't know how to turn, what to do, nothing. Right? And that is unfair because you can't, the office, they know the building was going to close down. And you all know it's going to close down, you're supposed to put it in place. So that when the building closed down, you pay the staff and them.
Right. So if it is
they
that
know.
the procedure is
They
ready,
know.
the procedure is ready. If
I know provide for them.
if the building is closing down and you work for 21 years,
Yeah.
all 21 years was at that building?
Yeah.
Good. So are there any other places you could have worked doing the same thing for the same employer?
Well, they have other homes and things, but it's just there that I
Right.
was.
So if there were other places that you could have worked, the St. Vincent de Paul would have had options because they could have offered you employment
Elsewhere.
at the other places. And if they didn't, and they claim that the building is closing down for whatever reason, then you are obviously, your position has become redundant. And in that case, there's a procedure under the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act that they should have observed, which is they should have observed the 45 days notice, so they should have given you notice. I'm sure they would have known that well before the date you went home. So you should have gotten the notice or payment in lieu of the 45 days notice. And then of course they will tell you how you will retrench, because I'm sure if the place is closed down and redundancy sets in, then everybody who's working there would have gone home. Is that so?
Yes, everybody
Good.
went home.
So if
All the
everybody
staff.
went home, then there's a procedure. You have to be paid according to the act.
So, Ms. Roach, I want to ask you this. You joined a trade union. They are aware that you joined to deal with this issue. The other people who were working in the home, they joined as well?
Yeah, and the job, yeah,
They joined with you as
That is
well?
on Henry Street.
So you're speaking to the union about this matter, right? And they're giving you guidance. And when we come up here, we're going to get some information from who you're dealing with and stuff. But we want to just make sure that you're being properly guided and advised so that you could get what you do in this regard.
Yeah, because, I don't know, it's a mess because
21 years is a lot of years.
people are like that and their service going
May I
down.
ask what you were doing there?
What's that?
What you were doing?
What was your role in
I was
the...
a supervisor there dealing with the homeless and mental people also too. Yeah.
You used to work over by Riverside Plaza.
By the car park.
You used to work in the
Yeah.
car park.
Yeah.
Okay.
inside the car park where the homeless were? These people who did the job, I had to intervene for them and call the Society of St. Vincent de Paul management and ask them why they're not being paid. Months had passed and they weren't being paid. All of these are
But do you
issues.
know that the ministry takes months to pay?
But what she
Let me
just
tell you,
said,
every time that you go to the office, sweetheart, you go, they keep telling you, the ministry is who are to pay us.
Well, the
Then
ministry
after
the
all,
ministry
when
say,
you don't have to pay-
who's the employer? Who's the employer? Who employed you?
Understand what I'm saying? When I go into the office, right, they are telling you,
The ministry have to pay
the
them
ministry,
to pay you.
and we had to get the money from them. Okay, when you're done, they're telling you that the ministry have money for them. They have money outside still with the ministry.
so I want,
The
Right.
thing is, and they're not lying, because it happened to us. It happened to the homeowners. where sometimes 6 months and they get paid.
But Ms. Ruiz,
Right.
That is
but
why
Ms. Ruiz,
Even if it happened to the home.
they're not going to take
this
them
facility,
because of that situation.
this facility is not a surprise at the start of every month. It's 30 years old.
Yeah.
They're working there. We
It
say
doesn't matter,
she
that's what
worked
it is.
there 21 years.
I'm not speaking about her.
No, I'm
speaking about
saying
the
we can't make excuses.
No, but Philip, I want you to understand what
That
I'm
it is
saying.
bad practices across the board?
No,
yes,
yes, it is.
it's bad practices
Right.
across the board, but let's not.
lying.
Right.
I'm saying
But
it, that's what I'm
the
saying.
fact is the ministry is just not. The
Yeah.
fact is the ministry is not paying or is paying late, right?
This is bullying.
But the point is, even if the ministry is paying the employer late, that have nothing to do with you as
Correct.
the employee.
It doesn't have
It doesn't have
anything.
anything to do with the
But
employee.
sometimes
So the
that's
employer has to make a decision at some point in time because
Because
your
I-
salary at the end of the month is your property.
Correct.
But listen,
So
but
if you
I
didn't
asked
give me that
them-
just now, if you didn't give
So
me
just
that,
now, he is-
right? If you didn't give me my salary at the end of the month, then you should have a problem. And the concern to the employer should have a concern because that employer has a legal obligation
Yeah.
to pay me my salary at the end of the
And it
month.
don't only happen with Ministry of Social Development, it happens with private clients too.
Ms. Ruiz,
So what I'm
Ms.
saying
Ruiz,
is
yeah,
that-
but you have a way of saying these things that make it sound like because it's so, it's okay.
No, that's not what I'm
But it's
saying.
coming across that
Well,
way.
that's how you're taking
No,
it. That's not what
but I'm
saying.
reading the social media comments. If
That's not what I'm
something,
saying.
but I'm giving you a little bit of guidance. And watch how you're couching your words. If she worked there for 21 years, her salary is not a surprise at the end of the month.
No, it's not.
So if the government
But I'm
didn't pay,
telling you,
if the government didn't pay,
you are-
and I understand the position most homes are in, if the government didn't pay, that is not an excuse to
That
not
is
pay a
why
worker.
some-
That is so you have options.
Trump
Just
will
now,
take them.
just now you have options. You can retrench them. You can say, well, look, listen, the situation is XYZ. We have to send you home, and you follow the procedures,
Agreed.
and your problem solved. Nobody will beat up on you because you have to retrench them. What to say, or you could go and get a
And this
loan
is
to
why-
pay, or you could do anything.
If
You know what
these
I've
things
noticed?
could be avoided,
Ms. Ruiz,
if they would, these things, don't cut me across, please. I want to get
Carry
the
on.
point
Yeah, make your
across.
point. Make your point.
These things could be avoided if the ministry would pay on time.
Good.
Right?
So-
And if it is you're dealing with the elderly, the home shouldn't have to beg you to pay. You should know at the end of the month, just like how you have to issue the pension check, you have to issue these checks.
The unfortunate thing is every employer,
Right.
one of the reasons why good people don't take business from the government is because they don't pay.
I took
Right.
it and nearly lost my house.
So the thing is, it's not just you alone. I know a lot of companies, a lot of clients of mine who are the same problem and workers they can't pay because the government they pay them for months. So in some cases,
But you know
years,
what? You know what?
that
But
kind
you
of
know
thing.
what?
So
You know
the thing
what?
is-
You know what is unnerving? That in all of these conversations, the common thread is first hand, second hand, third hand. The government is bullying people, and it's the small people, and it is the vulnerable people.
I just think
The government has a responsibility to do its job properly. And one of those things that Mr. Matheson just said is disbursement of salaries and payments to homes. None of us should be making excuses. All of us should be telling the government, do your job better.
and I'm not making excuses.
No, but
That's
I'm
what
saying-
That's why I asked the questions that
So,
I
Ms.
asked.
Roach, we will make sure and we'll be in touch with you. And Mr. Matheson will.
But this is a situation where we ain't supposed to go to no union, understand me? Because we work for you all and they closed down the building. They're supposed to pay us. We're not supposed to be going to fight for union, to fight for us.
I agree.
We're not supposed to do that. We always send us home, have the money there and give it to us. And it's not that I even ask and all. I say, so why it is you all send us home? All you himself said well to put us in any other one of the homes. So well look, you will go here.
Unfortunately,
Nothing. You're not gonna tell me
unfortunately,
that they're going to close down Finbarayan and more other homes going to close down.
unfortunately.
Wait, just now.
Unfortunately.
This is important. This is really important to Donna Cox's statement. They told you they're going to close down Finbarayan.
Yes, when I went to the office, they said they're going to close down Finbarayan now. because Ryan is one, and some others again going to
You
close
see?
down.
You see?
This is
A
what
lot
I
of
said.
the information that went in the public space, and I knew that the reason all of these people rushed to talk to the media and Donna Cox to go in the parliament is because this touched a serious nerve. Something is wrong here. It comes back to Donna Cox.
There's more than once I keep saying that the Ryan home is going to close down.
But
Not
they
now.
themselves telling you that? The St. Vincent de Paul office?
When I went in the office, who I speak to, they told me that. They told me
Well,
that.
I know
Because
we-
when I asked, I said, but you will send us home. Oh God, all himself said, I know it have other homes. Himself said, well, look, Miss Lee, you will go there. Miss Alexander, you will go there. And whoever. Nothing of the sort. Instead of that, they're going to close down Ryan and other homes. The only homes that they're really taking care of and taking on is the home for the children.
Cyril Ross.
Cyril Ross home. You understand? Because they can't do nothing to say, well, they could do something and have them outside the same way. But instead of that, they hustle to close down there to have people home without a salary or their severance to send up the residents and them like if there's animals. You understand? You put in people in homes where like me and you, we could get up and go and look for a job. You put people in home if they're not able for themselves.
Why are you saying that?
Why are you saying that?
Yeah, why
Because
you
it's
now-
suffer.
Why 21 years?
It's suffer.
21 years you're there. Why you now say
Uh-huh.
that they have people there?
Who could she have said it to before?
Who I say?
How you mean? Say it. You
To
need
who?
to say
I
it.
say it,
Look, look Anthony Saloon with
I
all
say
his
it to everybody.
contact. Try.
And you're asking who
Without
to say.
my video going viral, none of this was in the public conversation. None. They fought you and ignored
You
you.
went viral too before you? This gentleman.
No.
Oh.
They ignored you, and you are the head of the association. You said they ignored you. This woman is what I just said. It is the vulnerable and those at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder that getting hit the hardest. Who was she supposed to talk to? Most people that come to me.
So I can't understand, right, how I am in a place seeing that there are people who need to go, then that should have been a discussion. He said he had enough strings to pull. Why didn't he pull strings then to say, why are we taking these people here when they should be put in the system to go and get a job? What plan y'all could come up with to put these back into society?
Look what they do, eh?
What, you understand what I'm trying to say?
I get where you're trying to go, but I want you to understand.
Yes.
But I want you to understand this. Tonight, media and ministers are going to hear your voice. I don't know if it's for the first time.
No, it's not for the first
They're going to
time.
hear this matter, and they're going to pretend that this is the first time. Like when Robert Sabger brought his results out 20 years later. That means for the 20 years that they knew that these children were being abused, nobody did nothing. Until Philip Alexander and my platform and this voice, who could she have gone to? Newsday? Think Newsday gonna write any against it about? CNC3? TV6? Who? What are the issues that matter to the people in this country?
You answered some
But-
questions I want to answer.
I know that,
Quiet.
but exactly, and this last night I went to stand up with the family who lost a 9-year-old boy. The entire community come and stand around me, but nobody come want to speak because everybody afraid. We're living in a country where people are as afraid of their government as they are afraid of the bandits outside there. Ms. Roach, I want to thank you for standing up and speaking out. Like I want to thank Ms. Ruiz for standing up and speaking out. All of you are victims. And it is time we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, started to see the common thread in all this victimhood is the government. And the government has to do a better job of doing its job.
Yeah, because-
That's what we pay them for.
Because they send them and all my workers, all the workers, they're just home and have nothing, and that's real hard. And then you know what more hurtful for me too? The amount of years that I worked there and the way I watch, they're trying to hustle out these residents. I kept these dogs out of the building. You understand? They say one time they come in, they have to be ready for one time. They come long before with police from Bedford Street Station. When then I had to walk upstairs with the police and them in the front dorms and them to hustle them out because they're ready to close the doors.
But they're not there, they're still there. Because I have
So
been
where
visited.
did they put
I
them?
have been
Where did they
visited.
put them?
I'm still
Where
there.
did they put them?
Where? Upstairs?
No, downstairs.
Downstairs are my
No,
people.
not. Your place is secluded apparently, because when I went there, they said only 5 people is allowed in there, right? And I have passed them different times because I have interviewed some of them there, right? And what they are saying, right now they have taken everybody's grants and pension that was
Yes,
there.
yes.
So those people have nothing to eat nor drink.
Where's that pension money?
They
Yes,
stopped.
It's
all
suspended.
payment.
Who is the
suspended
they?
it last year November.
Who's the they?
The government.
The
Ministry of
Government
Social
take
Development.
it away from them because when they went
Take it away from who?
The
from the
homeless.
residents
From
and
the
them,
residents, because
Those who
the
were
plan
getting
was-
their
the
disability
disability
allowance.
and the welfare,
Last year.
they
Whatever.
took it
Stop
away
all.
from them.
So those persons are supposed to
So
die?
right now,
That. Just that.
No.
so right now
Look
they
what they
have
do now.
nothing.
What they do there now, the residents and them are talking, they're talking to them about the rental assessment.
Assistant.
When
yeah.
they go now to them, for them to get it, they're not getting it. So why bring up that rental assessment to them? And they can't get
But they have any
nowhere to
place
go.
for them to get rental
They have
assistance?
people have residents who get places,
Yeah.
and when they went to them, they say it's not going to be ready right now. So which means they're on the road.
Because I know they're on the road. I have been passing day and night. And
So
I'm
just
in
now,
front of
so
there.
the persons who, so this gives credence to the video I made about 4 years ago, about 3 years ago, the people on the Royal Bank,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
sleeping
right.
there.
Yeah.
So when they closed that place, did
first
those
of September.
persons, where did they put those persons somewhere else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. They had about maybe say 80 people up there. They might have got room for about 70,
I
75
can show you
people.
that.
And who's
Over there,
managing
so give
that?
us.
The St. Board?
No. The Ministry of Social Development came in there and got places,
Places.
not the most appropriate places for each client. Some of them had to go to places they didn't really want to go to, but they went anyway. And a few fell through the crack. About 5 or 6 or 8 of them. I took in a
And
lead.
they are on the Royal Bank now.
No.
No.
A couple of them with me in my
They do
little
some
shelter.
nice craft for bed.
Yeah, we are doing some crafts and we're doing different things, right? But I have to say something because I had promised Minister Cox, I made a commitment to her. I said the day she said we have to close down that building. Now I heard that from 5 ministers over the last 25 years because the CSDP was a situation that is Center for Socially Displaced, that is the Riverside, right? It was deemed by the ministry's officials unfit for human habitation, right? We have it officially on all committee levels and so on. And every minister said they were going to close it down. For some reason, they didn't. Minister Cox decided she going to grab the bull by the horns. And when she found out certain things, she did what no minister in 25 years could have done.
But you had to give her credit for that because
Absolutely. I
yeah.
told her I will give her credit for it. Right? The thing is, what she did also do, and she had to do it, she did stop their grants last year, November. She said, I'm not going to pay for your stay at Riverside and also pay you the grant. It's one or the other.
So not again neither.
Now, so the grant,
But not again neither.
so the ministry had a situation with the St. Vincent de Paul, and that is being sorted out in their own way. But the residents now are desperate to get their grants reinstated. I have a couple clients downstairs by me in that Oakmeal, that same Riverside, the ground floor, which was given to me by the mayor, who are victims of the system, and we are trying to get
So
their
the ones
grants
on the
reinstated.
outside are not
No, none of them. We not taking any from the outside at this stage.
why? I could ask why.
Drug addicts and so on, I will not take them inside because that's a different board game. That's a
But
different
he
kettle of fish.
also not funded for that.
And not only that,
I always had a problem with that car park, the carbon monoxide. And
No,
all
but
that.
it's-
I
but
always had a problem with that car
absolutely,
park.
it is one of the, and I end up being in the devil's den Imagine, for 25 years, I was fighting to close it down, and I end up using the ground floor. But we're using it for something else. We're using it to engage the homeless and so on.
But I want to add to the conversation here this, right? Hi, Mr. Alexander. My mother turned 65 last November, and we made the application for her old age pension. Next month will be 1 year, and to date, she has not gotten any payments. Now, we either have a grant that we're budgeting for that is part of people's benefits of being a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, or we don't. It's either one or the two. If it's a grant, deal with the grant across the board with everybody fairly. Yes or no?
Yes.
If it is not a grant and there is no benefit to Trinidadians from all of the riches and the wealth that the country had, deal with them at election time. But the point I want to make is, what has become a standard of this government is that they know they're going to deny you, you know, but they're not denying you upfront. They are going to run you in circles, chasing what you believe you're getting, only to frustrate you in the end. So many different departments of state, and the latest example of that is the government, Stephen, with moving retirement from 60 to 65. With people under NIS contributions, many of them have already paid more NIS contributions than they're supposed to by the contract, and they're not getting their money. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have to wake up and realize that our country has run aground. The government does not know how to manage it. So the smallest...
You know what we know, Mr. Alexander? You know what the government know? They know they're in charge. And they run the show. Because when they are dealing with homes, they are doing the home a favor. And they need to get that they're not doing a home a favor. The homes are actually doing the favors for them. You understand? There's many things that the ministry needs to get right. And it is not just this ministry or who is in government today, because this is not a problem that is happening today. This is a problem that has been happening for donkey years. And at some point we need to get it right. So the question should be, how do we get it right?
Well, I hear you.
Well, the government talk about old age pension, right? But on one hand, on the other hand, they say that it is not really a privilege because it is a grant.
And I just said, clarify.
So,
but I want to say this. You and I spoke with a gentleman from the solid waste beater. He was moved in his job 13 years before his retirement to a different job, and he worked that different job and was never paid the salary for that job for 13 years. Now that he's retired, they can't pay him a pension because they cannot calculate his pension on his previous job because that wasn't his current job, and he was never paid the salary he was supposed to pay. So this man has been robbed twice by the state in Beatam, and he's not the only one.
That's a problem for his trade union.
But you see, and I'm saying this again, I was trying to say this just now before Ms. Ruiz cut me off, that it is the smallest people in society that they're doing this to. They're doing this to people who have nowhere to turn. They're doing this to people who are in trade unions, and the trade unions selling them out. They're doing this to people who have no recourse. Trinidadians.
They do have recourse. They do have recourse.
But we're not trade union. We're not going to get tied up in this. But we're not trade union without consulting the workers who pay their dues. Signs and agrees 4% is okay. Something more there than the trade union doing its job.
Okay, what about you're in a union, right? And you're not getting pay, you have no money coming nowhere for you to pay. The union don't want to pay, stand up for you. You have to pay your dues. And I was one of them. I am one. Was not getting paid.
They can't pay your dues.
How am I going to pay my dues? How can I pay my dues?
I catch 22
We need to bring this to a close. This show tonight added more heat than light. Because, and I know that we will have a further conversation and we will bring in other people into the conversation into the national conversation. The purpose of the show, like the video, was to bring into the public space all of the people who are being victimized here. All of them. The homeowners, the people in the homes, people who used to work for the organizations, everybody, the common thread, common victimization. We need to fix that. We need to get Ms. Peters out if she wants to get out, and I need that precedent set, and we need to talk to that government. But let me give all of you some closing comments. I'll start with you, Ms. Ruiz. Any closing comments you want to give?
I just want to say that I wish all of you the best of luck. I would say a prayer on behalf of this lady. If you want, Mr. Alexander can let me know how it goes, because I don't know much about it. To you all, Mr. Alexander, I don't have to cut you because I want to get what I want to get in. So I apologize for that. At the same time,
I like your
to the viewers,
I like your
thank
spunk.
you.
I like your spunking. I like your energy.
I'll say thank you to the viewers. There's much more than this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Because everybody wants to get their piece in, actually. But we need to get it right. We need to get it done. We need to come up with plans on how we could go forward to get it right for the elderly, not just for the elderly, but for the citizens of the country. Because we all going to become elderly, right? And who is taking care of me? So we have to know how we're dealing with the caregivers, because the caregivers is the ones that have to deal with us.
Indeed.
And then when we leave, so with that I would say thank you for having me, and good night.
The last thing all I'm begging for is for my servants and for my workers and them money, because we're going home without nothing, and I would like the boy. You see, when I start to talk, I get vexed, because you see this thing, what happened here, it's not a nice
Ms.
thing.
Roach, I want to tell you that you're with good people here, and now that we've spoken to you, we will make sure that you and others like you are taken care of. I tell you, you don't know the benefit you had tonight of speaking to Mr. Matterson, but we will make sure that you're properly taken care of. Miss Fern Davidson,
Yes.
please, closing comments.
I would like to thank Mr. Solom for being there for my grandmother when I couldn't be there for her. And we will keep in touch with each other, and we will get her out of the home.
Yeah, and we will update them.
Thank you.
Mr. Salu.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Philip, for bringing the issue to light again. And the key point that I want to stress on and to finish on is the fact that the lady is capable of handling herself, and she is an example of some glitch in the system that needs to be addressed. It is really, really hurtful to hear somebody begging you to get out of a place that she feels that she should not be, and that she wants to go back and die in her own home, and she doesn't have much time. And I would like to make sure that due diligence, especially now that this lady's case is put on the forefront, and that the people who are supposed to see about it. And I'm sorry you didn't show her video. It's about 24 seconds. They have a little video
Which one of her first weekend?
Yeah.
No, they did.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. I'm sorry. I didn't.
No,
we didn't hear it.
No, they show everything. Once
Right.
you speak in, they get the
Mr.
footage.
Philip, it's nice to know that I come here and meeting you to let you know what it is going on with me and the other
And the
workers
workers.
and what we're going through with this close down of the place and with St. Vincent de Paul. So
We're going to fix that. I promise you that. We're going to work with you to fix that, Mr. Matterson.
I would like them. I want my money, please. I didn't work just
We will make
I
sure.
get bite all
I
of my
want to tell
breasts.
you,
Probably.
From resident, I get bite on the breast.
Your breast?
Yes,
We
I
just
had the mark
lost
right here.
our family general rating.
So, they bite your hand, they bite your
My
breast?
breast.
That was not this.
No, I mean,
That was not the worst.
you feel them with your hand, they bite in your breast or they bite
I
in your
sit down
breast?
by the security post, and this resident coming down more than once, one at a time. And next thing he just dive on me and bite me on the breast. I had the mark right here on the breast.
Is he-
Show us. we will end up with an X rating. This was we laughing, but no, you went through a lot, and I know that you have stories that you could tell, and we'll probably bring you back to tell those stories. But we have to wrap up because they have another show that happens here tonight.
Tonight was an interesting program, and what it demonstrated is some of the kinks in the construct, and that is sometimes we talk about the government, but the state have a lot to do with some of the problems that we experience. Some of the bureaucracy, some of the things that needs to happen, some of the oversight, the responsibility. Because I mean, people are paying taxes, and you expect that part of that taxes will go towards seeing about the elderly and that kind of thing in whatever way it is appropriated. So that is a concern, and I hope that the powers maybe looking onto this program may see some of the concerns and try to address them.
And that I agree with you on. That we hope that all concerned act proactively. Donna Cox wants to appear as if she is proactive. Minister, deal with the legislation, deal with your minister, your colleague, Terrence the Alsing. You all get your act together and address the issue of a lack of legislation where the homes are concerned. I hope that Mr. Nigel Phillip of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul has heard Ms. Roach's cries, because he went to say that all his bills are up to date. Well, no, sir, your bills are not up to date. Your association owes these workers. And you heard a human resource labor specialist tonight tell you, don't drag it on. You'll end up spending more money and still have to pay them. To the average Trinbagonian, thinking that this issue doesn't concern them, we have this way we live where we say, let the devil take tomorrow. And that's an okay way to live until tomorrow comes. And you find yourself in a home and all your property, somebody else enjoying it, and you're getting abused, and you're getting starved, and you're getting beaten, and you're thinking there's somebody you could call, and you have no phone privileges, and you're asking to see a family member, and they're telling you your family don't want to see you, and when your family come to the home, they say they're sedated, or they don't want taking visitors. All of this I've been told, and I've been told more. I've been told frightening horror stories, and the only reason for getting involved in this is so that the vulnerable in society could be protected. That's why Stephen Matheson is here. That is why Anthony Salome is here. That is why everybody is having this conversation. To those with the power to change it, to make life better for those people who are being abused and neglected, please take action. We are not going to let it go. And you may pay a price at the polls for what we're doing to the elderly right now. I'd like to thank all the viewers who were with us for the duration of the show. There was a lot of you all following, a lot of you all commenting. I'd like to thank Satish Ramsaran and David Welch and their crew that worked very, very hard to make the show happen. We had technical difficulties between 3 and 5. We wanted to start at 3 o'clock. David had to run up in the east, behind God's back, below God's chair, to get extra equipment to make this show happen. Thank you, David, and thank all of you, and thank everybody. Again, those of you who came in late and wondering where Stephen Reese is, well, you might not know, or if you do know, his dad passed away, and he's taking care of business. And on behalf of all of you and all of us, we want to say again condolences to the family. I mean, to Stefan, and it was a hard blow for him, and he's managing, so keep him in your prayers. Yeah? The funeral is tomorrow at 1 p.m. at St. Mary's Church. Yeah? So thank you for joining us. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Well, I'm gonna see you. We'll keep in touch. Okay. All right. Love to see you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Done. All right.
David, help me